Only 5 of these watches were ever made. This is a limited edition Rolex watch that was made in collaboration with like some rich fancy art people, and I really like it, but my wallet certainly doesn't. So instead of going into crushing debt to afford one, I'm just gonna try to make one myself. By the way, I have no idea what I'm doing, so if you're a professional watch person, I'm sorry. But I do have one question. What's up with all the finger condoms? It seems like all the hype in the watch community, but I decided to just grab a pair of latex gloves from the kitchen and save like $5. To start the build, the first part we'll need is appropriately called the movement, which contains all of the moving mechanical parts of the watch. This one here is the NH35, which I've seen is a pretty popular one for custom watches, and I got this one for 20 bucks. Going on top of that is the watch face, which is a copied version for $13. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Rolex logo, probably due to legal reasons, but I guess you can be copyright compliant, it's fine. I still like it, like I really do like this design. I think a lot of watches just kind of look the same with like different colors, but this one's a little silly with it, you know? For some reason, I just couldn't get the watch face to seat on the movement properly, but it turns out there's some extra of these super fragile metal legs that you're supposed to cut off. So we're gonna have to cut this one and this one off. I also sanded them down a little bit, and after that, the watch face fit on perfectly. Next up are the watch hands. I got some blue ones and also this fancy lightning bolt one to match the ones on the Rolex. There were some default silver watch hands that came with the movement, but these custom ones only cost $5 total, so if you think about it, that's just the money I saved on the finger condoms. To line up the watch hands correctly, what the professionals do is they'll turn the clock until it barely passes to the next day. Since that means it's exactly 12 AM, they can attach all the watch hands pointing straight up towards the 12. On my watch, I turned it to the next day no problem, but unfortunately, we have no 12. Our 12 is down here, so we're just gonna have to eyeball this one. One more small problem, to try to save more money, I didn't buy any of the proper tools. Like there's a little watch cushion, there's tiny screwdrivers, but most importantly, they have these specialized hand setting tools where normally you just push the hand onto the watch face and that's it. But I only have a pair of tweezers, so this is gonna take a while. Even just picking up the hand was difficult. To attach it, I basically press fit it onto this little cylinder and then double check that it's not rubbing against the watch face. I got the minute hand on a lot quicker, you know what they say, second time's the charm. The little cylinder in the middle has different widths, so the hour hand went on the widest cylinder and the minute hand sits above it on a medium width cylinder. And each of the cylinders accordingly move at different speeds. Now the second hand is attached to a little post in the middle of the cylinders, and it's just a pain to assemble. It's super thin and small and it bends super easily. This is where the no proper tools really hurt the most, because I couldn't apply even pressure to push the second hand down properly, and instead it would just flop over. After my little tantrum, I finally got the hand attached properly. It did get pretty bent during our skirmish, but I was able to straighten it out with the tweezers, and now you can see all the hands moving properly. Nice. The next step is to get the temporary stem and crown out and replace it with the one that came with the watch casing. There's a secret little button on the back of the movement which will unlatch the stem, but you can only hit it by pressing it with the tweezer. And also, make sure to use your other hand to hold the watch in the air so you don't accidentally break off all the clock hands and ruin all your progress. And also, make sure you use your other hand to pull on the stem so it actually comes out when you unlatch it. Oh, you're out of hands? Too bad, try being an octopus next time. Anyways, after channeling my inner cephalopod, I was able to get the temporary stem out, and now we can check out our final purchase, the watch casing. This is a... wait, what? The page is gone. Well, I guess that means that this is the last Oyster watch case ever, at least from this seller. The Oyster watch case is actually a Rolex specific design, and you can see it on their fancy website here. It's all metal, has a thick ring around the clock, and has a sort of oval shape. Just looking at the website, you can tell this shit's expensive, but I got mine for $40. And I also chose a clear back panel so I can actually see the movement moving. You know, it looks pretty cool. We'll take said back panel off to finally be able to put the watch in the case. Here, usually people have like a blower tool thing to clean out dust, but I don't have it, so I'm just gonna use this piece of packaging. Once you put the watch in, you can finally see it coming together. We can't quite close it off just yet though, because we have to properly size and trim the stem. We'll push the stem in all the way, and then we'll measure how much of it extends past the casing. In this case, get it? About 6 millimeters. We'll pull it out again, and this time it's a lot easier because we only need 2 hands to do it. And next is the incident. I was lining up the stem to trim off the 6mm when... the stem goes flying and it completely disappears. Without the crown attached, it's super hard to find, and I kinda only had one chance with this because I only have one of these stems. I literally just sat there for 5 minutes in shock. I even paused the recording to play back the exact moment that it happened so I could listen to see if I could figure out where it landed. It sounded like it hit and then stopped somewhere on the table, so I went through each item on my table one by one. And when I was checking the final items, it finally appeared. It had fallen into my accessories box, and the wave of relief when I found it, like, oh my god, thank god. I still don't know where the 6mm that I cut off went, but honestly, I don't care. With the trimmed stem, we can finally get the watch secured. It does need a little bit of sanding to clean it up, and to attach the crown, usually people use Loctite to make sure it won't loosen, but I didn't have any, so I just borrowed some nail polish, which the internet said could be used as a replacement, so it should be fine. Next, we just push the stem back in and seal up the watch case. Again, the professionals have this fancy greasing box to keep the gasket moist, which I don't have, so I came up with an alternative. I used some lubricant that I had left over from when I built my keyboard, and I just put that in a little plastic baggie and shook it around. Then I put the back cover on, and that's the main watch case done. All we have to do now is put on the band and we'll be completely finished. It's attached using these little spring-loaded rods, and you have to push them down to release them, and then you can connect the band to the casing. Quick little test wear, and it's looking clean. And after size adjusting it a little bit, we are done. I think it looks amazing, and although it's not an exact carbon copy of the Rolex one, it just feels so much cooler that I made it myself. And for the final price, only $78, I think that's an amazing deal.